This is Envision Your Life with Shayla L. Bennett. Hi, I'm Shayla Bennett, and welcome to Envision Your Life. Today's podcast was actually inspired by a few of my friends. As I've been going through the last few weeks, I've really been thinking about how important my friends have been to me. My friends are amazing people. All of them inspire me and encourage me in different ways. Most of the time, though, they don't really know what they're doing. They're just being them. One friend, for example, I think I've mentioned before. We were talking about a book that this person had seen in the bookstore. And they mentioned the book to me and told me a little bit about it. Well, when they mentioned the book, I already had kind of this tingling, niggling thing in the back of my head that said, I bet this is the book that they're talking about. So when they said the title of the book, I really started to laugh. You see, this is a book that I've had in my house for a few years. The book isn't that long. It's actually a really great book. I'm reading it now. But I've had this book long enough to have read it several times. And because it's me, most books I have read several times. But here's the thing. I had this great resource right at my fingertips, and I did not make the most of it. So I think that positions to be in a pretty perfect place to help you to eliminate the procrastination and get rid of all the excuses. Here's the deal. Every single one of us have huge things that we are meant to accomplish. But most of us are really afraid to get started. Most of that fear comes from the fact that we're not sure that we can really achieve the thing that we're setting our goal for. I'm going to talk about today specifically about how to overcome some of those obstacles by first evaluating what you have in your house. See, for me, I kept saying, I don't have this resource, I don't know this information, I don't know this person, I don't know how to do this, I'm not sure about. And the more excuses I made, the more time it took for me to get started. One day, I finally had one of those sit-down conversations with another friend, and they said, but you already know how to do that. And I looked at them and said, I do? You sure do. And within a few minutes, I knew exactly what they meant. You see, almost every single one of us has what we need already in house because it's something we've been planning for, thinking about, and so we've kind of been collecting some things. It's kind of like when I decided that I wanted to really focus in on my health. I had a lot of things going on and stress was so not helping the situation. But my plan had been to focus in and to get healthy. When I decided to get serious about it, all kinds of resources made themselves available. For example, I got a DVD set that I really wanted because I was serious about it. I found the money, I found the time, I found the energy, and I found the resources. So practically, what does that look like? Well, let me use the exercise example because it's the perfect one to show you just how much you have in your house. I found the financial resources because it was around Christmas time and Grandpa always gives me money for Christmas. The money was just enough with a coupon and some other stuff to make it work. I had to put in another $5 or $10, but what's $5 or $10 when you get to start your goal? The next thing I started was to actually sit down practically and say, when am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And what do I need to get started? See, for me, I needed a practical plan. On Monday, I'm going to do Zumba. On Tuesday, I'm going to do Taibo. On Wednesday, I'm going to do Jillian. I needed a practical, everyday, step by step, what am I going to do? Why? Well, here's my reason why. Because I didn't need to get up the next morning and say, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, and sit and think about it so long that the time that I allotted to exercise, I wasn't going to use. So I needed a practical plan. What was I going to do? Then I needed to decide when was I going to do it. Now, very practically, I sat down with what I call a daily schedule. Some people call it a time map and other people call it other stuff. Here's the breakdown. It is about what time you think you can start your day till about what time you know that your day is probably going to end. And then block out time that you don't have available. Somebody said to me once, if you know who you are, then you know who you aren't. Well, I kind of applied that, but in a different way. When you know what time you don't have, then you know what time you do have. So practically, I sat down and I found out what time I don't have available. Well, I didn't have time available during my regular working hours because I'm at work. Practically, I am not a person that comes home in the evening and exercises. That just doesn't work for me. I'm one of those people that I really want to jumpstart my day pretty fast. Another reason that I don't start in the evening is because I usually end up with tons and tons and tons of commitments, and they vary all the time. So practically, that wouldn't work out for me. The next thing I needed to do was I needed to figure out, okay, what sacrifices am I willing to make? Am I willing to get up early? Now, this is going to be a change in habit. And speaking of habits, I know that I promised to do a podcast on habits, but I think I have something even better coming for you guys down the pike. So don't worry about it. So practically, I really needed to sit down. Shayla, are you willing to make this commitment? Yes, I am. Show it. Oh, show it? How? Here's how. I sat down, I made a plan, and I kept my plan. My plan was to get up earlier than I used to, so that meant I need to set my time, set my alarm. That meant that I had to actually get out of the bed. This also meant that I had to plan ahead, because I was not one of those people that wanted to get up super early in the morning. So, what did I do? Practically, I got all of the exercise clothes that I needed to, and I put them somewhere that was easily accessible as soon as I got out of bed. I put my shoes and my socks somewhere practically where I could reach them very easily, no problem, and they were in the same place every day. I already had a plan, so I knew exactly what I was going to do, so this made my whole routine faster, quicker, easier. Getting some of the practical tips? I hope you are. Now, I also had to make some other commitments. I'd already figured out what time I didn't have, so I knew what time I did have. I also had made the commitment by making sure that I had sat down and figured out exactly what I was going to do, and I allotted that time to do it. I put practical measures into place. I sat down, I put all the tools and resources that I needed easily within access, so I didn't have really any excuse for not doing the things that I wanted to do. Now here comes the harder part. Now you've got to do it. Now I know every single one of you know that morning when you've been up all night working on some project or some program, or the kids had this to work on, or you had to go to dinner with the husband, or there's this huge party that you just couldn't miss because it was related to work. We all have those commitments. But I still had to keep my commitment to myself. So practically I did. I knew that if I stayed out later that night, well, it was going to suck in the morning, but I was going to have to get to it. That meant that I couldn't roll out of bed and say, oh, I'm so tired. Not today. Nope, I had to crack that one eye open, shake my head and say, you can do this. This is for you. You are important. Suck it up. And then I also had to do some fun stuff too. Like have my favorite music available. Because let's be honest, the pep talk doesn't always work. Otherwise, we'd be achieving major stuff by now. I had to do some things that I knew that would excite and energize me to do what I wanted to do. Now that I had a game plan in place, I had the practical tools to get it done. I had to really look around my house. You see, most of the time, I really didn't have to go anywhere else to get what I needed. I already had equipment in my house, as it turned out. There were dumbbells that were hiding up under the clothes in the closet when I first moved in, and I had completely forgotten about them. There was also all those exercise videos that I had been picking up randomly throughout the years since college, already fully available. There was also that workout plan that I bought right after I graduated from college that had some really practical tools, resources, information that really helped me jumpstart my own lifestyle change. And then that's the final step. I had to make it a lifestyle change. This wasn't going to be something that I picked up and put down, picked up and put down, picked up and put down. So I had to make it a habit. I had to make it a part of my everyday life to the point I didn't have to think about doing it anymore. Now I'm going to give you a tip, kind of in advance on the habit thing. It's been researched and found that if you do anything for 21 days, you can break an old habit or you can create a new habit. I broke some old habits like sleeping in until, the last possible second to roll out of bed, jump in the shower, jump in my clothes, jump in the car, and go to work. And to practically getting up earlier in the morning, planning my day ahead, getting all the stuff that I needed to get ready, planning my lunch, having all of that stuff ready to go. I broke an old habit and I started a new habit. In return, I saw a lot of huge life changes for myself. I got to see myself healthier, doing things that I hadn't been able to do in a long while, and I was happier about it. So now this week's challenge is just for you. What thing do you need and want to do? Why have you been stalling and waiting to get it done? What thing are you seeing that you don't have that you need? What person that you don't have that you need to get started? See, some of that's a cop-out and some of it's just you don't realize that you have what you need. So I'm going to invite you this week to take a walk around your house. Figure out what do you already have access to, immediately available right at your fingertips, like my book that I'm reading that is so completely and totally fabulous that I already had access to. Stop stalling. It's time to get started because you have the world waiting. Until next time, I want to thank you for sharing my passion. I invite you to subscribe to Envision Your Life on iTunes, YouTube, or Podbean. You can also connect with me on Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. Until next time, expand your vision and live your dreams.